Bringing in my guest for this hour, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor David Bruno is with me, and registered nurse, certified domestic violence expert, and criminal defense attorney Marie Pereira is with me as well. Marie, I've got to start with you. That's some disturbing stuff. A lot going on there, but first and foremost, I want to get your reaction to what you're hearing there.
Very disturbing. And if they can get this in, when I mean they, prosecution, it certainly doesn't help the position of Miss Clenney. It makes her sound like a jealous, out of control, controlling abuser. And the way you hear the victim in this case, he sounds like he's the one who's always trying to diffuse the situation, and it makes her look like someone who really wasn't defending herself. It looks like intimate partner abuse from her against him. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it certainly does sound that way, David Bruno. And then Marie raises a good question. If this is able to get in, this could be hurtful to her case, to the defense. Clearly, your thoughts.
That's exactly where I'm going, Mike. I mean, my blood starts to boil, the criminal defense attorney in me, about the prejudice that this has against this defendant. I mean, we have the rules of evidence. This is not a recording of the instant allegation of the day. This is before. So this would be considered bad act or other act. And this is what the rules of evidence is for. This is a judge has to make a pre-trial determination whether or not this is relevant or whether or not the probative value goes over the prejudicial value of this. And I don't know how this is released. If this was released by the prosecutors or the police or whatnot, this potentially could be tainting jury pools here. And if I was on the defense side, I'd be stomping my way right into the courtroom to get a gag order and some sort of order to prohibit the release of these kinds of recordings because of the possibility of the prejudice of the jury.
Fair enough. And, you know, both sides, this was released by the prosecution. Both sides, the defense has released that video we saw of her in the lobby of her building. That was released by the defense. So they're fighting this thing out in the press. But you know what's interesting, Marie? The fact that the victim in this case, Christian Obumseli, even thought to tape this has to tell you something, which is why I have a little bit of a problem with it, like David, in terms of just from the defense perspective. I mean, there's a lot of reasons someone can choose to tape things like this. Could be manipulation on their part as well.
It could be manipulation, but this has been going on between them for quite some time. And I'm sure she has videotapes and audio tapes, and he does too, because they're both anticipating at the end of the day, somebody's going to call the police. And the police have been summoned several times, and people just want that tape. They want to keep receipts in case they have to defend themselves. In this case, here he is defending himself from the grave, unfortunately, but that's why couples do this. It's sort of like a Johnny Depp, Amber Heard situation. Videotape, audio tape, just in case you need to blow the other person up. Unfortunately, toxicity does that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it seems like a situation where he's trying to show that, you know, she is capable of this type of thing, even before that horrible event happened. Now, that horrible event, David, was the stabbing of Christian Obumseli. This happened behind closed doors. No one there to see what happened. She does call police, but ultimately it's determined by prosecutors, and one of the reasons they ultimately decided months and months later to charge her was it seems she lied on that phone call. The way she said it happened, the way the stabbing happened, could not have happened based on the wound that he suffered. Now, when you take that and you pair it up with this type of evidence, I think it makes it very difficult on the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, these 911 calls, we've seen them. They're prior statements. They're prior statements of defendants, and prosecutors love statements of defendants, be it a confession, in an interrogation with police, 911 calls or other recordings. And that 911 call is extremely relevant because that is the first time she opens her mouth and tries to explain what has happened about a stabbing in the shoulder. And you could hear her. It's a chilling audio. You hear him, and he knows he's going to die, and it's almost like the gargling at the end. It's really, really damaging for her. And if there's prior inconsistent statements that don't match the medicine or the medical testimony, look at the guilty verdict today with that cockamamie testimony that didn't match the ballistics. That guy went down because of that right then and there.
Absolutely, and it's powerful stuff, and you're right, that 911 call, it's sort of a conglomeration of their relationship. She just finished stabbing him, and she's going, baby, I love you, I love you. I mean, it's exactly what kind of goes on with these types of relationships. All right, guys, stand by. What I want to